potential shutdown, but we will do our best, certainly, to continue communicating with all of you. We will have a press briefing during next week. Look, again, they're going to be furloughed, and some will be expected and continuing to work, as the director said, and that's going to be across the government. That's going to be the same case here at the White House, and that's just kind of the way it is. And we're going to continue to deliver for the American people, but it's not going to be as business as usual when you have majority of folks furloughed, and that's kind of where we are, sadly, unfortunately, in this time. But as it relates to the press team, certainly we'll be holding press briefings, and we'll certainly have more to share if this is where we head down to, which is a shutdown.
Thank you, Karine. Just to follow to Aria's earlier question, that you say it's their problems, not ours. From the outside of the U.S., we see the government in more of a one thing. With the tension with China towards allies in the war in Ukraine, what can the president say to reassure leaders who are worried at this moment?
So, I think Jake Sullivan got this question a little bit when he was here last week, and I think the question came to him is, has he heard any concerns from any leadership? And he had said he wasn't aware of any conversations to that effect. What I can say is, when you have this type of this potential chaos and unpredictability, countries around the world are seeing from this Republican House, it's not something to be proud of. It's not. But what the president and our team have done for the past 2 years is rebuild those relationships with our partners and allies, and so at the same time trying to carry out the work of the American people. And that's something that you've seen the president do over the past 2 years, whether it's here at the White House or whether it's at a summit that he's attended. And you've seen the president build that confidence back into the world, right? The confidence that allies and partners had of the United States. And so that's important. We have rebuilt those relationships. We'll continue to do so. But obviously, when you see this type of chaos, chaos and potential recklessness, right, from House Republicans, it's nothing to be proud of. But we're going to continue to have those. It doesn't stop us to continue those diplomatic conversations and continue to build those relationships.
Thank you. This time of week, we're usually talking about the week ahead, and I wonder how that's impacted by the government shutdown. If the president has any plans for next week, and I'm assuming that people who would facilitate his travel would be essential, but is that impacted at all by the shutdown policy?
So it's a really good question, Matt. This is something that we have been internally trying to figure that out, what it's going to look like if we have a extreme House Republican shutdown. That is something certainly we've been very focused on. Look, as I said, the president's going to be staying in D.C. You could be assured that the American people and you all are going to hear from him on a regular basis in the next upcoming days, because he's going to continue to work for the American people. I can't speak to travel right now. Right now, we're going to focus on just the next couple of days and what that's going to look like. Again, he's going to stay here in D.C. We're going to continue to work for the American people. Yes, people are going to be furloughed. It's not going to be business as usual, but we're going to continue to do our best to work on behalf of the American people.
And it also sounds like you guys don't view there being any need for negotiation from the White House perspective. So, in thinking about what is the work that he needs to do in your eyes? Is the work communicating to the American people about this, or is there any? I mean, is he going to be in touch with anybody on the Hill? I'm trying to think through.
No, it's all good questions. Look, the president is going to say privately what he's been saying publicly, right? And he has spoken to this almost every day this week about the shutdown, about what Republicans in the House are doing. He's been very clear about this, right? He's talked about the economic impact. When he was doing the meeting with HBCU board of advisors, his board of advisors, he talked about the impact on the Black community specifically. He's talked about impacts just broadly with American families and Americans. So he has been very clear about this, and we are going to continue to be clear about this. And the reason why, just to go back to what I stated earlier to Weija, the reason why we're not negotiating is because we already did that. We did negotiate. The president spoke multiple times with congressional leadership on this. And there was a bipartisan piece of legislation that was agreed upon, that was passed, that was made into law. And so this is something that Congress, and this sits with, really, when we say House Republicans, it really sits with them. Because we saw what the Senate was able to do in a bipartisan way, which is keep their promise, move forward with the deal that we've made. And we know House Democrats are on board to keep the government open and keeping with the deal that was made. It's just this really small, extreme fraction in Congress. These extreme House Republicans that continue to hold this back because they want to push extreme policies. That's going to hurt Americans. And so that's why we say that, because that is the fact. That is what's happening and being played out on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue. And so, look, the president's going to continue doing the job. American people are going to hear from him over the next couple of days. And yes, he'll be in D.C. Okay.
Anticipating if there is a shutdown, the president has never come to the briefing room, and if it would facilitate and make it easier with staff furloughs for him to speak to us from here, we always invite the president to come to the briefing room.
We appreciate the invite.
The issue of debt ceiling played out in a similar way, where the position was it's their job to do it, and then when a critical hour came, the president engaged. If it goes to a shutdown, would he then view it as, okay, there's a new chapter to this in terms of resolving it, getting out of it, and would he feel like he needs to engage more at that point? Would that be a different mindset?
We just asked me a similar question as you did, and we're going to be very clear about this, and don't want to get into hypotheticals from here because we believe that this can be fixed. We believe that House Republicans can fix this. It is their job to fix this. So I'm not going to get into too far down the road.
Would he see it as a different set of circumstances?
You know, I just want to be careful, right? Because again, I don't want to get into hypotheticals. We see this as a situation that could be fixed because we already made a deal. A deal is a deal. When we say that, it is true. A deal is a deal. That's what they are disputing here. Something that 2/3 of House Republicans voted on. So they can fix this. This is something that they can get on board with because it's something that they voted on. It is something that they voted on. And so what I'm going to say is continue what we've been saying is that the conversation is not with this president. The conversation is with Speaker McCarthy and his caucus. They need to have that conversation and get this done on behalf of the American people. Millions of Americans are going to be hurt by this, by their action, and it is reckless and it is irresponsible. I have to go. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.